there are still people trying to criticize me about my actual criticism of Nintendo. Shall we get to Nintendo Prime? I think we shall. You see, Nintendo Prime made a video called This, Why the Nintendo Switch 2 Boycott Failed. And I don't know about you or me, but I don't remember there being any kind of boycott at all. All people were doing was calling out Nintendo on their bad business practices and letting everybody know what that console manufacturer was in fact doing and how this could negatively impact the industry overall. Yet for some reason, Primey over here decided to go through and start name calling people and talking about how we failed on our Switch 2 boycott, even though it's one of the most ridiculous videos I've actually ever heard. Let's take a look at it, shall we?
So I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 boycott and why, at least at this point, it has failed. And if you're confused, then I don't blame you, because for a lot of people out there, maybe even people watching this channel, you didn't even realize there was a boycott going on for Switch 2. It's pretty wild, actually, to think about how much I'm aware of this attempted boycott of Nintendo Switch 2 and thus Nintendo themselves, and how little some people were aware of it.
Already we are off to a raucous start. Primey, there was no Switch 2 boycott. People were just upset at the inability of Nintendo to actually, for once, I don't know, do the right thing and be pro-consumer. People were literally voicing their concerns at a company that they loved for a very long amount of time, doing things that were literally crossing the line for them as consumers in general, not offering them the right ability to purchase the product, locking devices out, and of course controlling everything from beginning to end. And on top of that, to increase the price on not only the previous gen consoles, but also any future games with variable pricing, meaning that if they feel that there is enough hype behind a game, they will literally jack up the price. We saw this happen with things like Uber doing that exact same thing. But hey, you know what? You don't know anything about any of that now, do you? You're just happy to be here and happy to be a Nintendo fan. So of course, Nintendo Prime goes off an entire tirade talking about how the Switch 2 boycott failed because for whatever particular reason, he feels like there are leaders in a boycott. I don't really know. And then he decides to go ahead and name drop some people. And guess who was mentioned?
But then you think some of the other ones, some of the more nuanced ones out there. You think of some of the content creators leading the charge. People like OhNoltzAlex. He literally was never going to buy a Switch 2 regardless. He doesn't really play Switch either. Everything he plays is on PC. So he wasn't going to buy the system regardless of what happened, right? So that's not someone that's great to lead the charge, because you can't boycott something you weren't planning to buy anyways. You're not affecting anything.
Imagine being this absolute on a daily basis. Ah, yes, because Alex was apparently never going to buy a Switch 2, even though in practically every Switch 2 video I've made, I've talked about how I plan to buy a Switch 2 because of the fact that it seemed to be like a good device, but because of Nintendo's practices, I chose not to buy a Switch 2. You see how that works? It's not like I'm Mudahar over here saying everything is bad, then going out and doing a 180 backflip and a twist into a pretzel, and then buying the device and having to do an apology video. No, that's not what happened. I stuck to my guns. I am a consumer with a spine, Primey. That's the big difference. In fact, again, I have a Switch OLED. I have Switch 1 games. Do I have to, like, what else do I got to do to prove it to you, you fucking clown? Oh, is that not enough for you? I'm sorry, I don't have a giant wall of virginity behind me. Do you want to see if, like, the games are in the case? Oh, look, it's there. Whoa, he was never gonna buy it. He's just a PC guy. Yeah, I like gaming on PC. Yeah, I emulate Switch games on my PC, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna buy the game as well, because I also like to play on the actual hardware. And I would have bought a Switch fucking 2 if Nintendo didn't fuck me every time I wanted to go ahead and give them money. You see why I'm angry? You see why I have a problem? It's kind of why I stopped buying Nvidia products, because they did the same thing. So I went to AMD instead. Instead of actually just going around and just bending over for a corporation, I decided to take my money where it belongs, where it's going to be respected. And that's the difference between you and me, my boy. I'm not here to be happy. I'm here to actually get my money's worth out of the product. And if the product isn't worth my money, then I'll get it.
So we got to go to other people out there that were maybe planning to get it. Maybe someone like Nintendo. He's another content creator, but he really wasn't spearheading the boycott stuff from the very beginning. So yes, he is a Nintendo fan who loved Switch, bought Switch, owned all the games. That's actually an example of somebody who could potentially have been a leader for the movement, but I don't feel like he in particular wants to step up in that regard. Then you have other people like Fratanga Plays. You have other people out there like smaller content creators. You have lots of people on Reddit and Twitter, lots of people that were pushing for this boycott. But the problem, the fundamental issue is all of the leadership behind this movement was disjointed, unorganized, and nobody was really working together.
Oh, honey. Oh, honey, you fucked up. Oh, you messed up bad. You think I'm an asshole? You think I'm a problem? Oh, when Fratanga sees this. I just love it. Like, you're literally making up your own headcanon right now in your own space. Nintendine would have been a good leader of the boycott, but yeah, Fratanga is just a jerk. Alex is an asshole. Mudahar bought a Switch too. The boycott didn't work. There was no boycott. It's a group of people on YouTube who are just pissed off about Nintendo and the bullshit that they're doing, and they're using their platform to be pro-consumer and let their actual viewers know what is in fact happening and letting their viewers choose for themselves what they can and cannot do. But the thing is, people like myself, Nintendine, Fratanga Plays, and in some weird way even Mudahar, were simply just trying to voice the concerns of a company that we've honestly enjoyed for a very long time and wanted to buy their product for, but because the stupidity of that company is so great, we've chosen not to, and to dictate our distaste and disapproval of what Nintendo is doing. You see, you are a dedicated Nintendo channel, and the difference is what you want to do is not involve yourself in any other controversy whatsoever. You just want to go ahead and suck off the company and corporation, lick the boot from top to bottom, bottom to top, as they actually say. That is what you're doing, my boy. In fact, you even admit it yourself that the only reason you made this video is because you got angry that other people were putting you in their content. Don't believe me?
With the boycott, it ain't going anywhere. And yelling at them and mocking them, and let's just be frank, mocking me isn't really going to do anything. I said this at the time on a live stream that they were going about this all wrong. I actually don't like Nintendo's policies. I don't like the price points. I actually agree with a lot of the criticism. However, I am willing to put up with enough of this stuff at this point to still enjoy the product. For a movement to work, you need people to feel like they've hit that breaking point. And some of you have, and there are definitely some Nintendo fans that hit that breaking point. But is this enough that that breaking point was really widespread? So far, the answer is no. So the Switch 2 boycott failed because there probably really wasn't a boycott to begin with.
And there it is. It couldn't be any clearer from everything being seen. The fact that Nintendo Prime has admitted to you and everybody else, even in his own video, that he'd rather lay down like a dog for a corporation than stick up for himself simply is the most embarrassing thing of all. It's not the fact that me, Fratanga, Nintendine, even Mudahar in some cases, were trying to do a boycott, because that's not what we were doing. We were trying to use our platform and our voices to go ahead and let people know and make an educated buying decision about what consumer rights are being violated by Nintendo to you as a customer and consumer, and all the ways Nintendo is trying to fuck over the actual customer and control everything from front to back. This video shows that directly and clearly. I showed how Nintendo is controlling the actual media itself, the games themselves, by only offering game keycards for specific titles unless developers and publishers actually pay. And now they're controlling your own devices by breaking them because you broke some weird arbitrary rule that they didn't like. And instead of actually going through and calling this company out, which I'm going to be real, you made a couple of tweets here and there. Sure, that's not a big deal about that. But the thing is, your consistent message has been you're willing to put up with it. And what's going to happen is the more you do, the more they're going to push. And when they finally cross the line that you're not willing to put up with, it's going to be too far and too late. And by that time, it's already over, my boy. You could have had the criticism. You could have defended yourself as a consumer and customer, but instead you chose to lick the corporate boot. So I hope you enjoy the space that you're in.
Exposed.
Fucking
exposed. Exposed.
Fucking exposed.
Exposed. Exposed.
Fucking exposed.
Exposed. Exposed. Exposed.
Fucking exposed.
Exposed.